A woman's body never lies when she wants you. The truth doesn't come in her words or her expressions. It comes in the weight of her touch, the pause in her breath, the stillness in her body when it presses against yours and doesn't retreat. Most men don't notice it, not until it's gone. You've hugged women before, dozens of them, friends, colleagues, relatives, strangers at farewell parties. Each hug felt the same, safe, polite, distant. They're moments you forget before they've even ended. But then one day, in one rare, silent instant, something shifts. She leans into you and doesn't pull back. Her body lingers in your arms a beat too long. The air thickens. And in that 3-second window, your instincts detect something your mind hasn't caught up to. Her body is speaking to you in a language most men never learn to understand. She says nothing out loud, but she screams with her skin. Touch, science confirms, activates the brain's reward system within milliseconds. It's the oldest form of connection we have, but not all touch is the same. Some simply soothe, others ignite. They trigger hunger, desire, memory, meaning. And men, unaware of these nuances, go their entire lives touching women without ever truly reaching them. Because touch isn't neutral. It never has been. Every point of contact is charged with intention. Every shift in pressure, every subtle pause, every inch of closeness. It's a conversation, not the kind spoken with words, but with presence. The difference between comfort and chemistry isn't in what you say. It's not in your eyes, your smile, or your charm. It's in the micro-calibrations that occur during touch, the pressure, the position, the timing. Most men are deaf to this language. They hug women the way they hug their mother, their best friend, a business partner, and then wonder why nothing happens, why no spark ever lights, why she smiles and backs away, and the moment collapses into polite nothingness. And this matters more than you think, because the men who understand touch, really understand it, live in an entirely different reality. They don't have to talk as much. They don't have to be more attractive. They don't need to try harder. They simply operate in a language older than logic, a language buried in every nerve ending and limbic signal. And when they touch a woman, everything changes. Neuroscience shows that when skin meets skin, your body releases oxytocin, the hormone that bonds us. But what they rarely explain in studies is this: the type of touch creates the type of bond. A handshake builds professional trust. A pat on the back triggers camaraderie. But a well-placed, deliberate, intentional touch can bypass all cognitive defenses. It goes straight to the limbic system, lighting up the hypothalamus, flooding the ventral tegmental area with dopamine, associating your presence with pleasure, with comfort, with a kind of primal familiarity she doesn't yet have words for, but feels deeply. This isn't manipulation. It's biology. Anthropologists studying romantic behavior in 43 cultures identified the same universal progression, an escalation from public touch to private touch in a predictable sequence. Men who feel that sequence don't need a manual. They just know. More importantly, she knows. Behavioral psychology confirms that women make unconscious decisions about sexual availability within the first 3 physical touches. Not 3 dates, not 3 deep conversations, 3 touches. And most men waste all 3 with hollow contact, forgettable gestures that never speak the language of desire. Picture this: a dimly lit room, a gathering winding down, a final moment before goodbye. She steps toward you for a hug, and like most men, you go on autopilot. Arms up, quick squeeze, maybe a pat on the back. Done. Friendly, safe, forgotten. But there's another version of this moment, one where you're not sleeping through it, one where you see the opening that lies just beneath the surface of the ordinary. In this version, The hug becomes a portal into something more, something electric, something that lingers. And it begins with the first touch, the lower back anchor. Here's what most men get wrong. They hug at shoulder height, arms around the upper back, hands near the shoulder blades, everything in the friend zone. But when you watch a couple that can't keep their hands off each other, pay close attention to where his hands go. The lower back, right where her spine curves downward. That's not by accident. The lower back is wired differently in the sensory cortex. It's more sensitive, more intimate, more directly tied to the pathways that lead toward places the conscious mind doesn't like to mention in public. When your hand rests there during a hug, you're not just touching her, you're claiming familiarity. You're saying, I belong in your intimate space. I'm not foreign here. The pressure you use matters. It can't be aggressive. It can't be timid. It has to be grounded, present, confident. Your palm flat, fingers spread slightly, thumb resting naturally. You're telling her without a single word that you know what you're doing, and she feels that certainty. Most men touch like they're afraid they'll break something. That nervous hesitation, asking for permission with every inch, kills desire faster than any rejection. The lower back anchor says the opposite. It says, I've been here before. I understand this moment. And she notices. She feels it in her nervous system before she even knows why. Then comes the shoulder blade draw. After initial contact, most men stand frozen, waiting to disengage. They waste the opportunity of the hold. But there's a way to change the entire dynamic. As you hold the hug, your hands move slowly, subtly, from her lower back along her sides, not grabbing, not clutching, just traveling. Your fingers follow her ribs, awakening nerve endings in a path that barely registers consciously but resonates deeply. And then you reach her shoulder blades, and instead of pulling, you draw her in. There's a massive difference between pulling and drawing. Pulling creates resistance, drawing creates surrender. It causes her chest to meet yours. It erases the empty space. You're no longer hugging like acquaintances. You're sharing full-body contact. And in that instant, her nervous system conducts its own internal audit. Safe or unsafe, exciting or neutral, worth remembering or not. When done right, the shoulder blade draw lands in the perfect balance. Safe, but thrilling. Familiar, but charged. It's the physical embodiment of a man who makes her laugh and makes her feel protected at the same time. Very few men know how to do both, but your hands can, if you let them speak. Then, as the hug deepens, we come to the neck whisper. This is where the boys and the men part ways, because this move requires boldness disguised as softness. While the hug continues, one hand moves upward, calm, assured, and settles at the base of her neck. Not gripping, not grasping, simply resting. Your fingers gently slide into her hair. Your thumb rests lightly along the side of her throat. Your palm supports the back of her head. You are now holding the most vulnerable part of her body, the center of her trust, her pulse, her life. And she knows it. If she doesn't tense, doesn't move away, doesn't close herself off, you've passed a test her body didn't even tell her she was giving. The base of the neck holds the carotid artery, the jugular vein, life-giving structures guarded by instinct. When she allows you to touch her there, she's not just giving you access to a physical space. She's granting a biological trust. Her limbic system has already scanned for danger. It's already decided. You are safe. But what makes this moment more than safety is that same neck is also one of the most sensitive erogenous zones on her body. The nerves are hyper-attuned. The skin is thin. The closeness to her ear means every breath you exhale is now a sensation. Felt, not just heard. When your hand gently rests at the nape of her neck and your fingers slide through her hair, You're not just holding her, you're activating the neural wiring that lights up during intimacy. Her breathing will change. If you're paying attention, you'll notice it. Deeper, slower. Her body is beginning to respond to yours before her conscious mind can rationalize what's happening. This is the moment where most men panic. They feel the change in energy, the rising tension, and they flinch. They pull back, make a joke, diffuse it. But tension isn't the enemy. Tension is the invitation. Sexual tension is the thread that, when pulled gently, unravels everything polite and unlocks everything true. The neck whisper builds it, sustains it, lets it simmer. And the men who can stay present in that simmer, who don't rush to end it, are the ones she thinks about later, long after you've walked away. Then comes the fourth touch, the hip recognition. This is where clarity replaces ambiguity. Here's a truth that makes some people uncomfortable. Hips don't lie. Not metaphorically. Literally. During a hug, the position of her hips tells you everything. If her upper body leans in but her hips are turned away, angled to the side, you already know. She's protecting distance. She's withholding connection. But if her hips square up with yours, if there's no space between you, if her lower body leans in just like her upper body, that's a green light. And here's where most men hesitate, because they don't know what to do with permission. They've never been taught how to move with intention. So here's what you do. As your hands rest on her lower back, you let one hand slide, slowly, casually, without pressure, down to her hip. Not her butt, not her thigh, her hip. Right where the bone curves out and the jeans naturally rest. The place where her body transitions from waist to legs. This movement must come from sensitivity. You have to read the moment. If she stiffens, if there's resistance, if her arms go loose or her breath shortens, back off. It's not the time. But if she's relaxed, pressed against you, arms fully around you with no urgency to pull away, then the hand on her hip is the next natural step. This touch is powerful not because it dominates, but because it declares. It says, I see you, not as a friend, not as a peer, as a woman. And that clarity cuts through years of polite ambiguity. Women are exhausted by men who act like desire is shameful, who turn every moment into negotiation, who seek constant permission because they fear their own wants. Your hand on her hip, steady, natural, assured, says, I'm not ashamed of wanting you. And that kind of honesty, felt through the body, is intoxicating. Then comes the fifth touch, the temporal stretch. This one is often overlooked, yet it changes everything. Most men think that touch is only about location, technique, pressure, but they miss the one variable that amplifies all others: time. Time, when used with intent, becomes an instrument of seduction. A 3-second hug is friendly. A 7-second hug is emotional. A 15-second hug is undeniably physical. The temporal stretch is simple in concept, difficult in practice. You hold the hug longer than expected. Not in a way that's awkward or needy. In a way that's grounded, calm. Like you're in no rush to escape presence. You don't release when she expects it. You let the moment breathe. You allow the stillness to speak. And something strange happens around the 12-second mark. Her brain stops thinking about the context. She stops evaluating what the hug means. Her analytical mind dissolves. Her body takes over. Oxytocin spikes. Cortisol drops. The mental noise of her day begins to fade into the background. And in that quiet stretch, something new is planted. An association. She begins to link your presence with stillness, with calm, with peace. Not because of what you said, not because of who you are on paper, because of what you allowed her nervous system to feel. The temporal stretch demands patience. It demands emotional stamina. Most men can't handle silence. They can't hold tension. They rush to fill the space with words, motion, distraction. But not you. You don't hold her to get something. You hold her because this moment, right here, right now, is exactly where you want to be. And she feels that. Women have a sixth sense for presence. They know when a man is truly here versus when he's already halfway out the door in his mind. When you hold a woman in silence, when you stretch time itself without trying to bend it toward a goal, you prove something rare. You prove you can be with her without needing anything from her. That kind of presence is priceless. And yet, even now, there's one more moment most men fail to deliver. The final touch. The release linger. Here's where everything you've built can either dissolve or deepen. Most men let go too fast. They drop contact entirely. Hands fall, arms disconnect. The magic dies. But the release linger is different. As you begin to pull away, your hands don't vanish. They move, slowly, sensually, down her back, across her waist, along her arms, until what's left is your fingertips brushing hers, and only then do you let go. This does two powerful things. First, it extends the sensory experience. Even as you create physical distance, your touch remains with her. Her skin still feels your presence. The ghost of your hands lingers. Second, it creates anticipation. Because if a hug can feel like that, what might everything else feel like? That question takes root in her mind, and it grows. You didn't create absence, you created curiosity. Not by taking something away, but by mastering the timing of the exit. The release linger is subtle psychology at work. It taps into variable reward cycles. It uses the peak end rule, the idea that people remember the emotional peak of an experience and how it ends more than the middle. And when the peak is desire and the end is softness, her brain catalogs that memory as something it wants again. You've just become a craving, not because you played games, but because you understood the mechanics of memory and feeling. You built tension, you maintained it, and then you released it in a way that leaves her wanting more. Now take a step back and look at what's really happening here. This isn't about 6 moves. It's not a trick. It's not a formula. It's a new framework for understanding how attraction actually works. Because attraction is not logical. It doesn't follow bullet points. It doesn't respond to reason or arguments or credentials. You can't talk someone into wanting you. Attraction begins in the body before it ever reaches the mind. And the men who understand this don't operate like most men. They don't beg for attention. They don't explain themselves. They don't chase. They create moments. They build tension with precision, release it with grace, and allow a woman's body to decide what her mind hasn't caught up to yet. That's the difference. And it's everything. This is not manipulation. Because you can't fake presence. You can't fake comfort inside your own skin. You can't fake the grounded masculine calm that allows you to hold that tension without collapsing under it. These touches, these 6 moments, they only work when they come from something real. From authentic desire, from deep awareness, from a place where your intention aligns with your presence. If you go through the motions, if you follow the steps like a robot reading instructions, she'll feel it immediately. She'll know. Her body will recoil. Her energy will shift. Because the feminine is exquisitely attuned to falseness. But when you're really there, when you want her without needing her, when you're not chasing approval or begging for signs, but simply showing up in your full, grounded self, then everything changes. The touches become an extension of you, a fluent language of intention, of clarity, of unapologetic desire. And that, intention, is the most attractive quality a man can have. Not appearance, not money, not charm, intention. The clear signal that you know what you want, and you're not afraid to express it through your energy, your eyes, your hands, your presence. That you can create safety and electricity at the same time. That you can be firm without forceful. That you can take the lead without needing control. That you can want her deeply and still let her choose freely. This is rare, and women know when they feel it. Desire, nobody tells you this, isn't democratic. It doesn't care about fairness or equality. It doesn't care who's the nice guy, who's been there, who deserves a chance. Desire responds to those who understand its language. And the man who learns to speak it, not in words, but in energy, in body, in presence, will always live in a different category. He's not waiting for permission. He's not hoping to be picked. He's creating experiences that make the question of, should I choose him, irrelevant. Because her body already has. And while you're hesitating, waiting for the right moment, building up courage, crafting the perfect sentence, someone else is creating that moment. Someone else is already inside the nervous system, already shaping how she associates touch with connection, presence with pleasure, physical closeness with peace. And once those neural patterns form, once she feels what it's like to be in the presence of someone who makes her feel that, every other interaction is measured against it. You don't win her with logic. You win her with biology, with awareness, with the ability to say everything without needing to say anything. You can spend months building rapport, learning her favorite movies, listening intently, being the dependable friend who's always available, and you'll still lose to the man who understands what you just learned. The man who knows that 15 seconds of touch, done with intention, does more than 15 hours of polite conversation. The man who doesn't just show up physically, but arrives energetically, who doesn't try to impress, but simply connects, with confidence, calm, and a clarity that's undeniable. Because the truth is, women are already being touched by other men. Some of those men are clumsy, some are forgettable, some are unaware, but some of them, few but real, understand. They know how to touch a woman in a way that speaks, in a way that says, I see you, I feel you, I'm not afraid of your depth, your softness, your power. And when that happens, she remembers. Her body remembers. And you're either the one who gave her that experience, or the one who faded into the blur of forgettable moments. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be taller, richer, funnier, more successful. You need to be present. You need to understand that the body never lies. And if you can listen with your hands, if you can speak with your energy, if you can let your touch tell the truth you've been afraid to say, then you no longer need to guess how she feels, because her response will be immediate, felt, unmistakable. This language of touch has been spoken for thousands of years, long before dating apps, long before social scripts and gender roles confused everyone. It lives under the surface of every ordinary moment, in the way your fingers rest, the way your breath slows, the way you move with her instead of around her. Most men will never learn it. Most will keep hugging like they're afraid, speaking like they're unsure, touching like they're apologizing for existing. But not you, because now you know. And once you know, you can't unknow. You don't unsee it. You don't go back to autopilot. Now, every moment of closeness becomes an opportunity, a chance to create a spark instead of missing it, a chance to shift her nervous system instead of numbing it, a chance to communicate not just interest, but presence, depth, masculine stillness, desire without desperation, leadership without pressure, a chance to create a memory, a moment, a lasting imprint. You don't need permission to want her. You need the courage to let her feel it, not through words, through you, through the way your hands speak when you hold her just 1 second longer than expected, through the way your fingers trace not just her skin, but her subconscious, through the way you let the silence stretch and say everything. Because when you understand the power of touch, you realize the difference between a hug she forgets and one she re-watches in her mind over and over again is just 6 simple adjustments, 6 points of presence, 6 forgotten languages waiting to be remembered. And now you know every one of them.